Jai and everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel, which is Explore Yourselves, Banking and General Knowledge, etc. Please subscribe to the channel and also please do like and share and leave your suggestions in the comment section. Today I am going to talk about the Banking Laws Amendment Bill 2024. Banking Laws Amendment Bill 2024. Further to amend the Reserve Bank of India Act 1934, the Banking Regulation Act 1949, the State Bank of India Act 1955, the Banking Companies Acquisition and Transfer of Undertakings Act 1970, and the Banking Companies Acquisition and Transfer of Undertakings Act 1980, be it enacted by Parliament in the 75th year of Republic of India as follows. The Banking Laws Amendment Bill 2024, chapters. Chapter 1, Preliminary. This act may be called the Banking Laws Amendment Act 2024. It shall come into force on such date as the central government may, by notification in the official gazette, appoint, provided that different dates may be appointed for different provisions of this act, and any reference in such provision to the commencement of this act shall be construed as a reference to the coming into force of that provision. Amendment of Section 42. In the Reserve Bank of India Act 1934, in Section 42, in subsection 1, in the explanation for clause B, the following clause shall be substituted, namely, fortnight means the period from the first day to the 15th day of each calendar month, or 60th day, the last day of each calendar month, both days inclusive. In subsection 2, in the long line A, for the words each alternate Friday, the words the last day of each fortnight shall be substituted. B, for the words 7 days, the words 5 days shall be substituted. In the second proviso, A, for the words such alternate Friday, the words the last day of any such fortnight shall be substituted. For the words that Friday, the words the last day of that fortnight shall be substituted. The third proviso shall be omitted. C, subsection 2A shall be omitted. Amendment of Section 5. The Banking Regulation Act 1949, hereafter in this chapter, as the Banking Regulation Act of 1949, in Section 5, in clause any in sub-clause for the words 5 lakhs of rupees, the words 2 crore rupees or such other amount as may be notified in the official gazette by the central government shall be substituted. Chapter 3, Amendments to the Banking Regulation Act 1949. Amendment Section 10A. The Banking Regulation Act 1949 in Section 10A in subsection 2A in clause I, after the words 8 years, the words and 10 years in case of a cooperative bank shall be inserted. Chapter 3, Amendments to the Banking Regulation Act 1949. Amendment of Section 16. The Banking Regulation Act of 1949, in Section 16, in subsection 3, after the words Reserve Bank, the following shall be inserted, namely, or the director of the Central Cooperative Bank elected to the board of the State Cooperative Bank in which he is a member. Amendment of Section 18. The Banking Regulation Act of 1949, in Section 18, in subsection 1, for the words last Friday, the words last day shall be substituted. 2. For the words alternate Fridays, the words the last day of the fortnight shall be substituted. Amendment of Section 18. For the words such Fridays or if any such Friday, the words the last day of the fortnight or if the last day of any such fortnight shall be substituted. B. In the explanation for clause B, the following clause shall be substituted, namely, the fortnight shall mean the period from the first day of the 15th day of each calendar month or 60th day to the last day of each calendar month, both days inclusive. In the Banking Regulation Act of 1949, in Section 24, subsection 2A, for the word Friday, the word day shall be substituted. The subsection 3, for the words each alternate Friday during the month, or if any such Friday, the words the last day of each fortnight during the month, or if the last day of any such fortnight shall be substituted. In subsection 4, in clause A, for the words any alternate Friday, or if such Friday, the words the last day of any fortnight, or if the last day of any such fortnight shall be substituted. For clause B, the following clause shall be substituted, namely B, if the default occurs again on the last day of the next succeeding fortnight, or if the last day of such fortnight is a public holiday on the preceding working day and the continues on the last day of the succeeding fortnights or preceding working days, as the case may be, the rate of penal interest shall be increased to a rate of 5% per annum above the bank rate on each such shortfall in respect of last day of that fortnight and last day of each succeeding fortnight or preceding working day. If last day of such fortnight is a public holiday on which the default continues. D. In subsection 7, for the words next succeeding alternate Friday, or if such Friday is a public holiday, the words last day of the next succeeding fortnight, or if the last day of such fortnight is a public holiday, shall be substituted. For the words subsequent alternate Friday, the words last day of every subsequent fortnight shall be substituted. Amendment of Section 25. In the Banking Regulation Act of 1949, in Section 25, subsection 1, for the words last Friday of every quarter, if that Friday, the words last day of every quarter, or if that day, shall be substituted. B. In subsection 2, for the words last Friday of the previous quarter, or if that Friday, the words last day of the previous quarter, or if that day, shall be substituted. Amendment of Section 27. In the Banking Regulation Act of 1949, in Section 27, in subsection 1, for the words last Friday of every month, or if that Friday, the words last day of every month, or if that day, shall be substituted. The Banking Regulation Act of 1949, in Section 45 ZA, A in subsection 1, for the words 1%, the words 1 or more persons not exceeding 4, either successively or simultaneously, shall be substituted. B. After subsection 1, the following subsections shall be inserted, namely 1A. Where the nomination is made successively in favor of more than one person under subsection 1, the nomination shall be effectively only in favor of one person in the order of priority specified in section 45 ZG. 1B. Where the nomination is made simultaneously in favor of more than one person under subsection 1, the nomination shall be effective in favor of all such persons in proportion to which it is declared, and the following terms and conditions shall apply, namely A. The nomination shall not be made in favor of more than four persons. The nomination shall explicitly state the proportion of amount of deposit in percentage in favor of each nominee. The nomination shall be made in respect of the whole amount of deposit. If any nominee dies before receiving deposit from the banking company, the nomination in respect of such nominee alone shall become ineffective, and the amount of deposit purported to be nominated in favor of deceased nominee shall be treated as if nomination had not been made in respect of that portion of deposit. Any nomination which does not comply with any of the terms and conditions specified in clauses A to C shall be invalid, as if nomination had not been made by the depositor or all the depositors together, as the case may be. D. If any nominee dies before receiving deposit from the banking company, The nomination in respect of such nominee alone shall become effective, and the amount of deposit purported to be nominated in favour of the deceased nominee shall be treated as if nomination had not been made in respect of that portion of deposit, and any nomination which does not comply with any of the terms and conditions specified in clauses A to C shall be invalid, as if nomination had not been made by the depositor or all the depositors together, as the case may be. Amendment of Section 45 ZC 11 in the Banking Regulation Act of 1949, in Section 45 ZC, in subsection 1, for the words 1%, the words one or more persons not exceeding 4 successively shall be substituted. Amendment of Section 45 JD. In the Banking Regulation Act of 1949, in Section 45 JD, for subsection 1, the following subsections shall be substituted, namely, where one or more individuals hire a locker from a banking company, whether such locker is located in the safe deposit vault of such banking company or elsewhere, the individual, or as the case may be, all the individuals together may nominate one or more persons not exceeding 4 successively, to whom in the event of death of the sole hirer or the death of all the hirers, the banking company may give access to the locker and liberty to remove the contents of the locker. Insertion of new section 45ZG, priority of successive nominations. 13. In the Banking Regulation Act of 1949, after section 45ZF, the following sections shall be inserted, namely 45ZG. Where the nomination is made in favor of more than one person successively under subsection 1 of section 45ZA or subsection 1 of section 45ZC or subsection 1 of section 45ZE, nomination shall be effective only in favor of one person in the following order of priority, namely A. Nomination of the first nominee shall be effective if that nominee survives the person of or persons who made the nomination. B. Nomination of the second nominee shall become effective only after the death of the first nominee. C. Nomination of any nominee lower in the order of nomination shall become effective only after the death of all the nominees whose names are higher in the order of nomination. Where the order of nomination is not mentioned, persons shall be deemed to have been nominated in the order in which their names appear in the nomination. The provisions of this section shall not apply to the nominations made simultaneously in favor of more than one person under subsection 1 of section 45ZA. 14. In the Banking Regulation Act of 1949, in section 56A in clause C, for subclause 2, the following subclause shall be substituted, namely, to clause NB shall be omitted. B. In clause J relating to substitution of section 18, subsection 1, for the words last Friday, the words last day shall be substituted. For the words alternate Friday, the words the last day of the fortnight shall be substituted. For the words such Fridays, or if any such Friday, the words last day of the fortnight, or if the last day of any such fortnight shall be substituted. For in the explanation for clause B, the following clause shall be substituted, namely, fortnight shall mean the period from the last first day to the 15th day of each calendar month, or 16th day to the last day of each calendar month, both days inclusive. Chapter 4. Amendments to the State Bank of India Act 1955. Amendment of Section 38A, 23 of 1955. The State Bank of India Act 1955, in Section 38A, in the marginal heading for the word dividend, the word money shall be substituted. For the subsection 3, the following subsections shall be substituted, namely, the State Bank shall transfer in accordance with the rules made under Section 124 of the Companies Act 2013 to the Investor Education and Protection Fund established under Section 125 of the said Act. Any money which remains unpaid or unclaimed for a period of 7 years from the date of its transfer to the unpaid dividend account of the State Bank. Shares in respect of which dividend has not been paid or claimed for a period of 7 consecutive years, along with a statement thereof containing the details specified in the said rules. Any interest or redemption amount upon any bond issued by the State Bank which remain unpaid or unclaimed for a period of 7 years from the date such interest or such redemption amount became due for payment. Any person whose shares or unclaimed or unpaid money has been transferred to the Investor Education and Protection Fund under subsection 3 shall be entitled to claim the transfer or refund from the said fund in accordance with the rules made under section 124 and section 125 of the Companies Act 2013. The money transferred under subsection 3 to the Investors Education and Protection Fund shall be utilized for the purposes and in the manner specified in section 125 of the Companies Act 2013. Amendment of section 41. The State Bank of India Act 1955 in section 41 in subsection 1 for the words and the figures, section 226 of the Companies Act 1956, the words and figures, section 141 of the Companies Act 2013 shall be substituted. B. For subsection 2, the following subsection shall be substituted, namely, the auditor shall receive such remuneration as the State Bank may fix. Amendment of Section 10. The Banking Companies Acquisition and Transfer of Undertakings Act 1970, hereafter in this chapter referred to as the Act of 1970 in Section 10, in subsection 2, for the words and figures, Section 226 of the Companies Act 1956, the words and figures, Section 141 of the Companies Act 2013 shall be substituted. Chapter 5. Amendments to the Banking Companies Acquisition and Transfer of Undertakings Act 1970. Amendment of Section 10. B. For the words Reserve Bank may fix in consultation with the central government, the words corresponding new bank may fix shall be substituted. Amendment of Section 10B. In the Act of 1970, in Section 10B, in the marginal heading for the words dividend to unpaid dividend account, the word money shall be substituted. D. For subsection 3, the following subsection shall be substituted, namely, 3. The corresponding new bank shall transfer in accordance with the rules made under Section 124 of the Companies Act 2013 to the Investor Education and Protection Fund established under Section 125 of the said Act. Any money which remains unpaid or unclaimed for a period of 7 years from the date of its transfer in the unpaid dividend account of the corresponding new bank. All shares in respect of which dividend has not been paid or claimed for a period of 7 consecutive years, along with a statement thereof containing the details specified in the said rules. Any interest or redemption amount upon any bond issued by the corresponding new bank which remain unpaid or unclaimed for a period of 7 years from the date such interest or such redemption amount became due for payment. Any person whose shares or unclaimed or unpaid money has been transferred to the Investor Education and Protection Fund under subsection 3 shall be entitled to claim the transfer or refund from the said fund in accordance with the rules made under section 124 and section 125 of the Companies Act 2013. See in subsection 4 for the words, figures and letter, section 2205C of the Companies Act 1956, the words and figures, section 125 of the Companies Act 2013 shall be substituted. 40 of 1980. Chapter 6. Amendments to the Banking Companies Acquisition and Transfer of Undertakings Act 1980. 19. The Banking Companies Acquisition and Transfer of Undertaking Acts 1980, hereafter in this chapter referred to as the Act of 1980 in section 10 in subsection 2, for the words and figures, section 226 of the Companies Act 1956, the words and figures, section 141 of the Companies Act 2013 shall be substituted. B. For the words Reserve Bank may fix in consultations with the central government, The words corresponding new bank may fix shall be substituted. 20. In the Act of 1980, in Section 10b, in the marginal heading for the words dividend to unpaid dividend account, the word money shall be substituted. For subsection 3, the following subsections shall be substituted, namely, the corresponding new bank shall transfer in accordance with the rules made under Section 124 of the Companies Act 2013 to the Investor Education and Protection Fund established under Section 125 of the said Act. Any money which remains unpaid or unclaimed for a period of 7 years from the date of its transfer in the unpaid dividend account of the corresponding new bank. All shares in respect of which dividend has not been paid or claimed for a period of 7 consecutive years, along with a statement thereof containing the details specified in the said rules. Any interest or redemption amount upon any bond issued by the corresponding new bank which remained unpaid or unclaimed for a period of 7 years from the date such interest or such redemption amount became due for payment. 3A. Any person whose shares or unclaimed or unpaid money has been transferred to the Investor Education and Protection Fund under subsection 3 shall be entitled to claim the transfer or refund from the said fund in accordance with the rules made under Section 124 and Section 125 of the Companies Act 2013. In subsection 4, for the words, figures, and letters, Section 205C of the Companies Act 1956, the words and figures, Section 125 of the Companies Act 2013 shall be substituted. The Banking Laws Amendment Bill 2024, Statement of Objects and Reasons. As the banking sector has evolved over the years and with a view to improve bank governance and investors' protection, it has become necessary to make certain amendments in the Reserve Bank of India Act 1934, the Banking Regulation Act 1949, the VR Act, and the State Bank of India Act 1955, the Banking Companies Acquisition and Transfer of Undertaking Act 1970, and the Banking Companies Acquisition and Transfer of Undertakings Act 1980. The proposed bill seeks, inter alia, to improve governance standards, provide consistency in reporting by banks to the Reserve Bank of India, ensure better protection for depositors and investors, improve audit quality in public sector banks, bring customer convenience in respect of nominations, and to provide for increase in the tenure of the directors in cooperative banks. Therefore, it is felt necessary to amend the said enactments and for that purpose to introduce the Banking Laws Amendment Bill 2024 in Parliament. The salient features of the amendments proposed in the said bill inter alia are to amend clause any of section 5 of the BR Act so as to redefine substantial interest, increasing the threshold for shareholding of a beneficial interest by an individual, etc., from 5 lakhs rupees to the 2 crore rupees to reflect the present value as the same was last fixed in 1968. B. To amend clause 1 of subsection 2A of section 10A of the BR Act, increasing the tenure of directors, excluding the chairman and whole-time director in cooperative banks from 8 years to 10 years so as to align with the Constitution 97 Amendment Act 2011. To amend subsection 3 of section 16 of the BR Act so as to allow a director of a central cooperative bank to serve on the board of a state cooperative bank. To amend sections 18, 24, 25 and section 56 of the BR Act to revise the reporting dates for the submission of statutory reports by banks to the Reserve Bank of India so as to align them to the last day of the fortnight or month or quarter to ensure consistency in the reporting. To amend sections 45JD, ZC and 45JD of the BR Act so as to allow for the nomination of up to 4 persons, including provisions for simultaneous and successive nominations to each services for depositors and their nominees, particularly regarding deposits, articles in safe custody and safety lockers. F. To amend Section 38A of the State Bank of India Act 1955, Section 10B of the Banking Companies Acquisition and Transfer of Undertaking Acts 1970, and Section 10B of the Banking Companies Acquisition and Transfer of Undertakings Act 1980, so as to provide for the transfer of unclaimed dividends, shares, and interest or redemption of bonds to the Investor Education and Protection Fund, and allow individuals to claim transfers or refunds from that fund. G. To amend Section 41 of the State Bank of India Act 1955, Section 10 of the Banking Companies Acquisition and Transfer of Undertakings Act 1970, and Section 10 of the Banking Companies Acquisition and Transfer of Undertakings Act 1980, so as to provide discretion to public sector banks in the matter of remuneration of auditors. The Banking Laws Amendment Bill 2024 Annexures. Extract from the Reserve Bank of India Act 1934, 2 of 1934. Every bank included in the second schedule shall maintain with the bank an average daily balance, the amount of which shall not be less than such percent of the total of the demand and time liabilities in India of such bank as shown in the return referred to in subsection 2. The bank may from time to time, having regard to the needs of securing the monetary stability in the country, notified in the Gazette of India. Explanation. For the purpose of this section, a fortnight shall mean the period from Saturday to the second following Friday, both days inclusive. Every scheduled bank shall send to the bank a return signed by two responsible officers of such bank showing the amount of its demand and time liabilities and the amount of its borrowings from banks in India, classifying them into demand and time liabilities. The total amount of legal tender notes and coins held by it in India, the balance held by it at the bank in India, the balances held by it at other banks in current account, and the money at call and short notice in India, investments and book value in central bank, state government securities, including treasury bills and treasury deposit receipts, the amount of advances in India, the inland bills purchased and discounted in India, and foreign bills purchased and discounted at the close of business on each alternate Friday, and every such return shall be sent not later than 7 days after the date to which it relates. Provided further that where such alternate Friday is a public holiday under the Negotiable Instrument Act 1881 for one or more offices of a scheduled bank, the return shall give the preceding working days figures in respect of such office or offices, but shall nevertheless be deemed to relate to that Friday. Provide also that where the bank is satisfied that the furnishing of a fortnightly return under this subsection is impracticable in the case of any scheduled bank by reason of the geographical position of the bank and its branches, the bank may allow such bank to furnish a provisional return for the fortnight within the period aforesaid to be followed by final return and not later than 20 days after the date to which it relates, or furnish in lieu of a fortnightly return a monthly return to be sent not later than 20 days after the end of the month to which it relates, giving the details specified in this subsection in respect of such bank at the close of business for this month. Where the last Friday of a month is not an alternate Friday for the purpose of subsection 2, every scheduled bank shall send to the bank a special return giving the details specified in subsection 2 as at the close of business on such last Friday, or where such last Friday is a public holiday under the Negotiable Instruments Act 1881, as at the close of business on the preceding working day, and such return shall be sent not later than 7 days after the date to which it relates. Interpretation. In this act, unless there is anything repugnant and subject or context, any substantial interest in relation to a company means the holding of beneficial interest by an individual or his spouse or minor child, whether singly or taken together in the shares thereof, the amount paid up on which exceeds 5 lakhs of rupees or 10% of the paid up capital of the company, whichever is less. Board of directors to include persons with professor or other experience. 10A1. 2A. Notwithstanding anything to the contrary contained in the Companies Act 1956 or any other law for the time being in force. No director of a banking company other than its chairman or whole-time director by whatever name called shall hold office continuously for a period exceeding 8 years. Nothing in subsection 1 shall apply or in relation to any director appointed by the Reserve Bank. Provision of common directors. Every banking company not being a scheduled bank shall maintain in India on a daily basis by way of cash reserve with itself or by way of balances in a current account with the Reserve Bank or by way of net balance in current accounts or in one or more of the aforesaid ways a sum equivalent to such percent the total of its demand and time liabilities in India as on the last Friday of the second preceding fortnight as the Reserve Bank may specify by notification in the official gazette from time to time, having regard to the needs of securing the monetary stability in the country, and shall submit to the Reserve Bank before the 20th day of every month a return showing the amount so held on alternate Fridays during a month, with particulars of its demand and time liabilities in India on such Fridays, or if any such Friday is a public holiday under the Negotiable Instruments Act 1981 at the close of business on the preceding working day. Explanation in this section and in section 24. Fortnight shall mean the period from Saturday to the second following Friday, both days inclusive. 24. To a scheduled bank, in addition to the average daily balance which it is or may be required to maintain under Section 42 of the Reserve Bank of India Act 1934, and every other banking company, in addition to the cash reserve which it is required to maintain, other Section 18 shall maintain in India assets the value of which shall not less than such percentage not exceeding 40% the total of its demand and time liabilities in India as on the last Friday of the second preceding fortnight as the Reserve Bank may, by notification in the official gazette, specify from time to time and such assets shall be maintained in such form and manner as may be specified in such notification. For the purpose of ensuring compliance with the provisions of this section, every banking company shall not later than 20 days after the end of the month to which it relates furnish to the Reserve Bank in the prescribed form and manner a monthly return showing particulars of its assets maintained in accordance with this section and its demand and time liabilities in India at the close of business on each alternate Friday during the month, or if any such Friday is public holiday at the close of business on the preceding working day, provided that every regional rural bank shall also furnish a copy of the said return to the National Bank. 4A. If on any alternate Friday or if such Friday is a public holiday on the preceding working day, the amount maintained by the banking company at the close of business on that day falls below the minimum prescribed by or under subsection 2A, such banking company shall be liable to pay to the Reserve Bank in respect of that day's default penal interest for that day of the rate of 3% per annum above the bank rate on the amount by which the amount actually maintained falls short of the prescribed minimum on that day, and if the default occurs again on the next succeeding alternate Friday, or if such Friday is a public holiday on the preceding working day and continues on succeeding alternate Fridays or preceding working days, as the case may be, the rate of penal interest shall be increased to a rate of 5% per annum above the bank rate on each such shortfall in respect of that alternate Friday and each succeeding alternate Friday or preceding working day if such Friday is a public holiday on which the default continues. 7. When under the provisions of Clause B of subsection 4, penal interest at the increased rate of 5% above the bank rate has become payable by a banking company if thereafter the amount required to be maintained on the next succeeding alternate Friday or if such Friday is a public holiday, the next preceding working day is still below the prescribed minimum. Every director, manager or secretary of the banking company who is knowingly and wilfully a party to the default shall be punishable with fine which may extend to the 500 rupees and with a further fine which may extend to 500 rupees for each subsequent alternate Friday or the preceding working day, as the case may be, on which the default continues. 26B of 1881. The assets in India of every banking company at the close of business on the last Friday of every quarter, or if that Friday is a public holiday under the Executive Instrument Act 1881, at the close of the business on the preceding working day, shall not be less than 75% of its demand and time liabilities in India. Every banking company shall within 1 month from the end of every quarter submit to the Reserve Bank a return to the prescribed form manner of the assets and liabilities referred to in subsection 1 as at the close of business on the last Friday of the previous quarter, or if that Friday is public holiday under the Negotiable Instrument Act 1881 at the close of business on the preceding working day, provided that every regional rural bank shall also furnish a copy of the said return to the National Bank. Monthly return and power to call for other returns and information. Every banking company shall before the close of month succeeding that to which it relates submit to the Reserve Bank a return in the prescribed form and manner showing its assets and liabilities in India as at the close of business on last Friday of every month, or if that Friday is a public holiday under the Negotiable Instrument Act 1881 at the close of business on the preceding working day. Nomination for payment of the depositor's money 45J. Where a deposit is held by a banking company to the credit of one or more persons, the depositors, or as the case may be, all the depositors together may nominate in the prescribed manner one person to whom in the event of the death of the sole depositor or the death of all the depositors, the amount of deposit may be returned by banking company. 45 where any person leaves any article in safe custody with a banking company, such person may nominate in the prescribed manner one person to whom, in the event of the death of the person leaving the articles in safe custody, such article may be returned by the banking company. Upon the safety release of lockers, 45 where an individual is the sole hirer of a locker from the banking company, whether such locker is located in the safe deposit vault of such banking company or elsewhere, such individual may nominate one person to whom, in the event of the death of such individual, the banking company may give access to the locker and liberty to remove the contents of the locker. To apply the cooperative society subject to modifications. Notwithstanding anything contained in any other law for the time being in force, the provisions of this Act shall apply to or in relation to cooperative societies as they apply to or in relation to banking companies, subject to the following modifications, namely in Section 5, clauses FF, H, and NP shall be omitted. For Section 18, the following sections shall be substituted. As reserved, every cooperative bank not being a cooperative bank for the time being included in the second schedule to the Reserve Bank of India Act 1934, hereinafter referred to as a scheduled state cooperative bank, shall maintain in India by way of cash reserve with itself or by way of balance in a current account with the Reserve Bank or the state cooperative bank of the state concerned, or by way of net balance in current accounts, or in the case of a primary cooperative bank with the central cooperative bank of the district concerned, or in one or more of the aforesaid ways, a sum equivalent to such percent of the total of its demand and time liabilities in India, as in the last Friday of the second preceding fortnight, as the Reserve Bank may specify by notification in the official gazette from time to time, having regard to the needs for securing the monetary stability in the country, and shall submit to the Reserve Bank before the 15th day of every month a return showing the amount so held on alternate Friday during a month with particulars of its demand and time liabilities in India on such Fridays, or if any such Friday is a public holiday under the Negotiable Instrument Act 1981 at the close of business on the preceding working day. Explanation in this section and in section 24, fortnight shall mean the period from Saturday to the second following Friday, both days inclusive. 38A 1.3. Any money transferred to the unpaid dividend account of the State Bank in pursuance of this section, which remains unpaid or unclaimed for a period of 7 years from the date of such transfer, shall be transferred by the State Bank to the Investor Education and Protection Fund established under subsection 1 of section 205C the Companies Act 1956 or being utilized for the purpose and in the manner specified in that section. Extracts from the State Bank of India Act 1955. The affairs of the State Bank shall be audited by two or more auditors duly qualified to act as auditors of companies under Section 226 of the Companies Act 1956, who shall be appointed by the State Bank with the previous approval of the Reserve Bank. The auditors shall receive such remuneration as the Reserve Bank may fix in consultations with the central government. Extracts from the Banking Companies Acquisition Transfer of Undertaking Act 1975 of 1970, Chapter 5, Miscellaneous, Disposal of Accounts and Disposal of Profits. Every auditor of the corresponding new bank shall be a person who is qualified to act as an auditor of the company under Section 226 of the Companies Act 1956 and shall receive such remuneration at the Reserve Bank may fix in consultation with the central government. Any money transferred to the unpaid dividend account of the corresponding new bank in pursuance of this section which remains unpaid or unclaimed for a period of 7 years from the date of such transfer shall be transferred by the corresponding new bank to the Investment Education and Protection Fund established under subsection of Section 205C of the Companies Act 1956. The money transferred under subsection 3 to the Investor Education and Protection Fund shall be utilized for the purposes and in the manner specified in Section 205C of the Companies Act 1956. Disposal of account, disposal of profits. Every auditor of corresponding new bank shall be a person who is qualified to act as an auditor of the company under Section 226 of the Companies Act 1956 and shall receive such remuneration as the Reserve Bank may fix in consultation with the central government. Any money transferred to the unpaid dividend account of the corresponding new bank in pursuance of this section which remains unpaid or unclaimed for a period of 27 years from the date of such transfer shall be transferred by corresponding new bank to the Investor Education and Protection Fund established under subsection 1 of Section 205C of the Companies Act 1956. Extracts from the Banking Companies Acquisition and Transfer of Undertaking Act 1980. The money transferred under subsection 3 to the Investor Education and Protection Fund shall be utilized for the purposes and in the manner specified in which Section 205C of the Companies Act 1956. Thank you very much for your patience.